Hey YouTube, Veteran Outdoorsman here again today. And today we're going to do kind of a benchtop review of a Rock Island 1911. Lots of those out there. This one's a little different. I don't remember the exact model, but it's a double stack, 10 millimeter, fully adjustable sights, nice fiber optic front, nice target grade adjustable sights, click adjustable, very easy to adjust, very accurate firearm. Now let's go ahead, safety first. Magazine's dropped, nothing in the chamber. So I'm gonna go ahead just a second. Go ahead and lower the hammer. And we'll play with this for a little bit. Okay, so what we have is a 1911, but this has some, not modifications, some refinements that the old time 1911s wouldn't have, but it's becoming pretty commonplace. I mean, double stack. Now, when I first heard of a double stack 1911, I thought that they were actually going to make the frame and slide wider as well. Fortunately, that's not the case. Everything's standard. The grip frame is bigger, takes a bigger magazine. But because of that, other uppers, if you will, different slides, whatnot, will fit on this firearm because they're exactly the same. Now, if you're not familiar with the 10 millimeter cartridge, there you go. It has shoots between 180 and 225 grain bullet, I believe. These are 180s, I think. Very, very powerful round. The heaviest of loads approach 41 Magnum, but they're not quite there. But they're more than a 357 in typical loads. Slightly larger bullet, slightly heavier bullet. Very powerful round. Makes, if you would like to hunt with a semi-automatic handgun and you don't want to shoot a 50 AE, the old 44 auto mag, things like that, which are heavy guns, this may be the firearm for you. In fact, it's tomorrow. I plan on taking it out. Here in Missouri, we have an alternate season, which used to be our muzzleloader season, but a few years ago they started allowing handguns to be used as well. And I would like to get a chance to take a whitetail. I'm going to have a doe tag, so I've got to purchase that. But I'd like to take an antlerless deer tomorrow with this firearm, if at all possible. But if nothing else, get out in the woods, have some fun. It's got a skeletonized trigger right here. Parkerized finish. The finish holds up fairly well. You can see a few shiny edges. I haven't carried this a lot, but sharp corners tend to wear, so I'm not too concerned about that. The texture on this grip is phenomenal. It's not uncomfortable, but it feels good and sharp. And just a great grip. It would be very hard to pull this out of someone's hand. And if you're, it mentioned hunting, your hands are sweaty, it may be warm, you're not going to have any problem. You're out on the range, it's 100 degrees, you're not going to have any problem keeping a grip on this firearm. It's, I'm not sure if it's G10 or micarta, but not an extremely attractive, but the pattern, the grip stippling and checkering there is just, it's right there. I didn't think I've got fairly large hands, but my fingers aren't very long. I did not think I would like this double stack. I specifically looked for single stack and I just couldn't find one, although they do make them. I wanted a single stack because of magazine restrictions for hunting, but I got around to that, and I'll talk to you about that here in a minute. I didn't think I'd like this, but this one came up for sale. I took a look at it, and it just, I mean, you can see my hand fits just fine. It fits great. Where this comes here, just a perfect stop. It fits my hand perfect. Your mileage may vary, but for me, this is great. Uh, I've carried it inside the waistband. And remember, it's a 1911. Fairly slim design. Now the grip is fat. That may dig into you. I got a few extra pounds myself. I've got to be careful where I carry the firearm, but if I carry it about 4 o'clock inside the waistband, it fits pretty comfortable. Wear a jacket over it. Fits great. The sticky holster, these are phenomenal. I've had them for all different types of handguns. These are great. Even if you don't carry your firearm, you just take it to the range or whatnot. Instead of a zipper bag, or even in addition to a zipper bag, slide this in here. Great. Just for protecting the gun. They're fairly inexpensive. But for inside the waistband, you tuck that in. You go to pull the gun. This thing sticks. It never follows the firearm. Unless you just got a abnormally sharp sight or something that grabs it, and then you need to adjust that because it doesn't make for a good carry firearm at that point. This is a great investment for any handgun you have. Sticky holster. They make them for just about anything. They make them for revolvers, automatics, whatever the case. Get on their website, look and see which model you want. These are awesome. I've also got a cheap nylon holster for I could carry on my belt for hunting. But you can get nice leather holsters, whatever. It's a 1911. The weight is good. It's got a little more weight because it's a double stack. Also with a full magazine, that adds some weight. I believe this thing holds 15 or 16 rounds. I don't remember exact, but that's a considerable amount of firepower when you're talking about a full power handgun round. That's right up there with good full power revolver rounds, more than a 45 Colt in standard loadings for sure, and even in some of the plus P loadings, more than a 45 ACP, more than a standard 357 load. Excellent, and in the package of a 45 ACP for all intents and purposes. But it is double stacked. They do make double stacked 45 ACPs. Now, I mentioned earlier there's a magazine restriction for hunting here in Missouri. Your magazine can only have 10 rounds. Again, magazine, not clip. That's a pet peeve of mine. Your magazine can only have 10 rounds. These 15 or 16, I don't remember exactly, and I'm not going to disassemble this, but it's very easy, and I'll show you. We can partially disassemble one. This is a full mag, so I don't want to disassemble it and rounds fly everywhere. But you push up on here, you push this floor plate forward, and it exposes the spring. You can take the spring out. Some cheaper magazines, your spring takes a set after a while. Pop that floor plate out, take the spring, stretch it, put it back in, put the floor plate back on, you're back in business. Or replace it with a better quality spring. Say you've got 4 or 5 magazines, one of the springs broke, another one the followers broke, etc., etc. Take this apart, mix and match, do as you please. What I've done, I took this out, I cut a piece of PVC pipe, small diameter, just the right length, put it underneath the follower, put it back together, made sure that only 10 rounds would fit in it. You cannot put an 11th round in here. You can just barely push this down any further than it already is, but it functions flawlessly. 10 round mags for free for me, because I already had some pipe from a a project that I had done here, but you could put a couple pieces of pencil, piece of dowel rod, whatever it is. When it's empty, it'll rattle a little bit. Once it's full, it's got the tension. It does. You hear just a tad bit of a rattle, but I'm pretty sure it did that in standard configuration, so I'm not worried about it. And now I'm legal for hunting in Missouri. I did that to both of my mags. Deer season's over. If I want to be able to carry with full capacity. Boom, pop these out, take the pieces of PVC pipe out, put them in my gun bag so that I don't lose them. Put everything back together, load them up, I'm ready to go. This is 6 hour ammo, by the way. Excellent ammo. Very accurate, very reliable. I was able to punch groups at 25 yards off a bench, somewhere around an inch for 5-shot groups. I was very impressed with this and with the Full Metal Jacket practice ammo that I bought. These are Hollow Points V Crowns, I believe. Excellent, excellent ammo. I would not have a problem taking a whitetail or a feral hog out to say 50 yards, maybe even a little bit further with this firearm. It's very accurate. You can get ammo up there with heavy cast lead bullets that you may someone with the right skill level may take animals much further than that. 50 yards seems to be a good limit for me for any type of handgun. I've owned several 44 Magnums, 357s, etc. 50 yards for handgun hunting is my acceptable limit. If I had a Thompson Center Contender with a scope, things like that, I may stretch my range a little bit. With a 44 Magnum with a scope, or one that I was just extremely accurate with, I may stretch my range. But 50 yards seems to be a sensible limit, so that's where I keep it. But let's talk about other uses for this firearm. A lot of people aren't going to buy a gun that they're only going to use for a week of the year for a specific firearm season for hunting whitetail deer. That's fine. This is a multi-use firearm. Great for range, whatnot. The ammo is not as expensive as you think, but it's not extremely easy to find. Not all gun shops will have it. Most will. You're not going to buy it at Walmart or Dick's or something like that, but you're getting to where you can't hardly find handgun ammo there anyway, so that's not really a factor. Most gun shops will have it. If not, they can order it for you, but you can find it online. It's not horribly expensive. I'm not going to quote numbers, but it's in the general line of 45, 357, things like that. It's fairly inexpensive ammo, and you can get good quality ammo. The ammo that I've found at a shop close by me for decent prices is 6 hour Elite Performance ammo. I have not had any issues with that in any gun I've ever fired it in. I've heard people say that it's junk. If I ever get a bad lot, I'll let you know, but it's always performed flawlessly in every firearm I fired it in. It's always been accurate, or as accurate as anything else I fired in that particular firearm. Clean burning, etc., and so on. That's what I can get. That's what I shoot. I may order some other stuff later on just to try out, but for now, that's what I'm firing in my gun. I can get Full Metal Jacket practice ammo, shoots the same point of impact, the same bullet weight at the same velocity, so I can practice. I've shot both of them side by side. They group the same, so I can practice with my cheap plinker ammo, load up with my hollow points. For self-defense, for hunting, I'm good to go. Now, it makes a good self-defense gun. Things you want to think about, though, is this is not a 9mm, a 38 Special, even a 45 ACP. This is not a lower velocity round. You need to think about overpenetration. You need to think about recoil. This isn't horrible, but I'm a big guy. I'm only 5'9". I weigh about 240 pounds. I'm a big guy. I can handle recoil, especially in a handgun. But this is not this is not punishing at all. I've owned 357s that kicked much harder than this. 44s were way up there compared to this. This is very manageable. I believe that my wife could handle this. She hasn't been out to the range with me, but I have no problem letting her shoot it. I wouldn't let my 8-year-old shoot it, but I have no problem letting my wife shoot this, and I think she could handle it very well. Very comfortable handgun to shoot, but it does have some pop to it. So if you're not used to a handgun that recoils more than, say, a 9mm, a 38, be cautious. See if you can go to the range and try one out. Find a buddy that owns one. Try it. See if you can be comfortable with that, especially if you're buying it just for self-defense. For hunting, you have to get a higher power round. You're just going to have to practice, and you're going to have to get comfortable and get used to it. Whether you have a revolver, an automatic, whatever the case may be, you're going to have something with some pop to it. So you're going to have to get used to it. For self-defense, that's not the case. You can have a lower recoiling firearm, such as a 9mm, a 38, a 45 ACP is still considerably less than this in a recoil. Other great guns. Many people don't like these, but 380s, etc., that are usable for self-defense. So that may not be what you want this for, but it makes a good dual-purpose weapon for me. I can keep it for self-defense. I can carry it. I can keep it in the truck, etc. And then I can use it for hunting, and I can take it for feral hogs, whitetails. Probably wouldn't want to kill an elk, although if one presented itself and I had the right load and it was within, say, 50 yards, I think it would do the job. I would want a hard cast bullet at that point. Not something that I'm going to just go out and try. Feral hogs, whitetails, mule deer at closer range. Pronghorns, if you could get them close. Things in that. Certainly coyotes, other varmints, and predators would be excellent with this. You can get carbines chambered in this. High Point makes a 10mm carbine. Oh, no, he said High Point. Well, I like High Points. You watch my channel long enough, you're going to know that. But regardless, High Point makes one. And to have a carbine and a handgun, both chambered in the same round, may be advantageous. I have a 9mm handgun. I have a 9mm High Point carbine. I would like to get a 10mm High Point carbine to go with this, just to have two that take the same. You know, we don't live in the Old West. It's not necessary, but it's nice. Grab two guns, go to the range. You only got to carry one type of ammo. It's nice. If anybody's ever tried to load, sitting there and they're loading up mags and they grab 9mm and they go to put it in 45, wait, this doesn't work. You know, you eliminate that. But if you're a gun guy like me, you own firearms of all different types of ammunition, so it's really not that big of a deal to have two that take the same. Not that much of an advantage. If you only own a couple of firearms, it may be a big advantage to you to keep the calibers the same. So that's something to think about. This is a 1911. You can find different uppers for different upper assemblies. You replace the slide, replace the barrels, springs, things. Different calibers, too. Something to think about. Rock Island has gotten some bad publicity over the years, mainly because of the price point. But good old boy, gotta drink some more RC Cola. Sorry, my mouth's getting dry. But Rock Island, I owned a 45 years ago. A buddy of mine had one too. Several of my friends had them, actually. The standard old A1 or A2 with the military sights, no beaver tail, just plain Jane single stack military style 45s. Great guns. Sometime I'll share a story of killing a fox squirrel much further than I should have with a headshot with one of those Rock Island 1911s. I have a friend of a friend that used one recently to kill a white-tailed doe with. There's really nothing wrong with those guns. The price point got them. A lot of people thought, well, it's cheap, so it must be junk. There's a difference between cheap and inexpensive. They were inexpensive. They weren't cheap. Were they as highly refined as a Ruger, a Remington, a Colt? No. Were they as good as the lower end Springfields? Yes, I think so. But they've really stepped up their game. They've made some high end guns. This is not a cheap firearm. $700-800 for this style of firearm is not unusual, no matter what the brand. They have really stepped up their game. The beaver tail, the nice sights, the skeletonized hammer and trigger, nice, smooth, crisp trigger. I would place this right up there with any Ruger, Taurus. I haven't fired a Remington, so I can't say that. Probably not quite as good as the new Kimbers. From a reliability standpoint, I would say it's much better than the old ones with the external extractor. Those had problems. But don't let the name steer you away. This is an excellent, excellent, excellent firearm. High quality, very accurate. I would trust my life to this gun. No question. And I keep it in my house for personal defense. And I do carry it on occasion. And I'm going to hunt with it. It's a great multi-purpose firearm. Easy to find holsters for. When you're thinking about a hunting firearm, you think something with enough power. Well, the 10mm has enough. Something that's accurate. This particular firearm is very accurate. But power, accuracy, availability of ammo, availability of components to go with the firearm, holsters, etc. A large frame or mid-frame revolver, depending on the caliber, would be a way to go for sure. But a 1911, you can't get. I mean, the popularity-wise, everybody that makes holsters makes a holster for 1911. Everybody that makes magazines for a 1911. Everybody that makes sights for a 1911. Everybody that makes handgun barrels pretty much makes barrels for a 1911. Triggers, etc. for a 1911. Grips. You can find all kinds of aftermarket components and really trick this thing out, but it comes tricked out. Full beaver tail. Skeletonized trigger, hammer. Nice adjustable sights. Very nice, very visible adjustable sights. Now, I'll lean back here, let you take a look. Don't want to point it at myself. It's over my shoulder. Nice, visible sights. Just a very attractive, fairly snag-free, beautiful gun. I wouldn't mind if it had, this is the 5-inch, I wouldn't mind if it was a 6. Get a little more velocity, a little more sight radius. Not necessary, maybe nice. Maybe one of these days I'll come up with something like that. Dan Wesson made one, I believe, or a few others. Kimber may have made one. But the power of revolver rounds, the easy carrying of a 1911, the capability of semi-automatic fire, the magazine capacity of a semi-automatic. To me, you can't beat it. It's got the best of both worlds, the best qualities of a revolver and a semi-automatic all in one. You've got the power, you've got the accuracy, you've got the easy carrying, the ergonomics. Excellent firearm. I would certainly recommend, if you're in the market for a powerful full-size handgun, whether it's for hunting, for self-defense, or just for messing around on the range, you want something maybe a little different, this is worth taking a shot. I won't say go out and buy one. Go look at one. Hold it. See if you can fire it. Find somebody you know that has one. Try it out. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Also, it's got ambidextrous safety, which is nice. If you shoot from southpaw, it's loaded. I can't think of anything I would personally want on this that it doesn't have. Now, personally, I would rather have. Most people are going to really like that fiber optic sight. I'd rather have a plain black post or ramp, because of this type of the style of shooting I do, the way I line up my sights. I would prefer black and black. I don't like 3-dot sights. Never have. To me, it tends to get you to try to center the dots on your target, where they're really a reference point, the way I shoot, and you're using the top of your post as the sight. So I kind of use them as a reference to line up. If you use the dots and you put the dot in the center of your target, that's fine. That's not the way I shoot, so I would prefer it to be all black. But with the quality of the sights, I get over that really quick. I can ignore that dot's there, use the top of the post, and it shoots spectacular groups. So, to close up, if you're in the market for a firearm for dual purpose, a powerful gun for home defense, something you just want to play out of the range, be a little different, this may be the firearm for you. This is New Year's Eve. If you're watching it, be safe. Don't drink and drive. Remember Christ. Remember He died for your sins. This is Veteran Outdoorsman signing off.